Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us in the 2020 Landscape in Focus series. This is part of what would normally have been the FBAA Summit series, but as you know, we're doing it because we can't get together. So I hope you've all got your coffee in hand and you can enjoy the next hour, and we'll catch up on all the things that we've been missing out with in the last few months. As you know, it's been a major disruption to our normal lives and business. That goes without saying. And we've all had to adapt. So it's important for us to support one another in that. And we wanted to still be able to provide you with the information on the industry to keep you up to date. So the PD Summits will now be electronic for the next few months until we can all get back together face to face. So there's one CPD hour allocated for each of these eSummits, and there'll be an email coming out to you after the session finishes with a survey and the CPD code that you can use for your CPD record. I'd like to extend a huge thank you to our sponsors for their support. This is all made possible by them, and you'll be hearing more from them during these sessions. So please, if you believe they can help you, get in contact with them. Their contact details are available to download from the handout tab of the control panel on the webinar here, as is the agenda for this session. Those items are in PDF form. So FBAA members will receive 10% off your membership every time you refer a new member who actually joins FBAA. Keep an eye out for those members who would like to have the support of FBAA or who may be dissatisfied with other organisations. So it'll be a benefit to you and to them. So looking forward to seeing some new members on board. Just remember also that the FBAA app has been updated and is available. There's for download onto your mobile phones. So there are a whole heap of features. There's calculators. You can use it to log into the member section of the FBAA website. And there's many other features there to help you out with your business. Also, you can directly go into the FBAA website in the members area. There's a lot of tools and resources there, including the FBAA broker support program, which is available to everyone. And there's a lot of information in there to help you through this COVID-19 period. The agenda for today's session, as I said, is attached by PDF, so you can download that to follow through. And also, I hope you're taking notes because there'll be a lot of good information in this session. The first speaker is Danelle Brooks from Lend, and she'll be talking to us about alternate lending and COVID-19. Welcome, Danelle.
Good morning, Joff, and good morning to all our SA and NT brokers. Thanks very much for taking out the time to join myself and the rest of the panel today to get a bit of an update on what's happening. And just again, a big thank you and a big round of applause and gratitude to all the FBAA brokers and members who you know, are continually putting their best foot forward during some pretty interesting times. So let's get started. So I really just want to have a chat about SME lending and why alternate lenders. So obviously for brokers who are already in the space, you're very knowledgeable and understand why alternate lending is important. And for those who are just starting into commercial lending, sometimes alternate lending, the rates, etc., make for an interesting discussion. So hopefully we can dispel a few myths and give you guys some tips as to why alternate lenders are so popular in this space. So why businesses use the alternate commercial lending market? So there's a couple of real reasons. Financials are not up to date. So if you don't have the most recent 2 years of financials, then obtaining mainstream finance is extremely difficult. ATO debt is also shunned upon, and certainly a lot of us here today know of clients who, you know, have been unable to draw equity out of their property for their business due to an ATO debt. Speed of funding, you know, it's very interesting looking at some of the industry forums and chats at the moment around SLAs. So, you know, I think our biggest stretch period at the moment is about 5 days with one of the lenders on panels. So certainly speed of funding. Flexibility of payments, so, you know, daily, weekly, fortnightly, monthly, you know, lenders in the alternate industry offer a range of different payment flexibility and frequency types. Also term flexibility, so you'll find that the majority of alternate lenders will make the term work to fit the client and their ability to service. But secondly, and most importantly, the majority of the alternate lending space will not charge a client to pay the loan out early. Multiple loan purposes and product combinations, so they sort of go hand in hand. So when someone's wanting, you know, 20, 25K for some equipment, you know, 10K for some working capital, and, you know, maybe 10 or 15K for some tax debt, that becomes really messy in mainstream lending. And last but not least, we know is credit impairment. So a lot of lenders now in the alternate space are not just looking at score, so they're looking at the data that's inside a credit file. We know that there's some inaccuracy around reporting, where a director may have an unpaid utility default for one company, and then on the, you know, for a completely different client, they may have an unpaid supplier default, and those guys can actually fall in the same band, you know, same score band. So really, really important that alternate lenders continue to look at the data inside the credit file. Then we start to, you know, have a bit of a chat about the products that are available. So certainly for us and the Lend platform, we were always going to be an unsecured platform, and have found that with COVID-19 that unsecured loans are not, you know, as easy to get your hands on as what they were before. And so there's a range of different products where your clients can access equity. So now is a perfect time, for instance, for debtor finance, a great time to start projecting cash flow and being able to leverage some, you know, leverage equity on your debtors ledger. So you've got equipment and asset finance that's ranging from, you know, your standard vehicle to machinery to yellow goods to fit out finance, invoice factoring and trade debtor, unsecured short-term loans, secured short-term loans, caveat or private lending, as some of you may be more familiar with that term, line of credits, overdraft facilities, and of course the merchant cash facility. So how do you get into the alternate commercial lending market? If you're not in the space now, what do you do? So for many, many brokers, you've written resi deals for people who are self-employed. It's an easy place to start. SMS and email your clients and let them know that you can now assist them with business finance. Tap into some of your other alliances. So as we know, accountants, lawyers, tax agents, insurance brokers, all have great databases of self-employed clients. So tap into some of those alliances that you have as well. Get a dedicated page on a landing page on your website. Really, really important, very, very cost effective. And at least it shows then on your website that you actually are specialising or have access to business loans. And last but not least, we've all been doing it a lot lately, and we've all been spending plenty of time on Zoom and on social, but let your social networks know that you now have access to facilitate this finance. Really, really important. We all know that word of mouth is super, super vital in this industry. So just to give you a quick update on COVID-19 sort of industries and panel updates from a Lend perspective. At the moment, we really look at 3 ways to view industries. So lots of people ask, you know, what industries are hot, what are cold? And look, now as we do start to see recovery, most industry restrictions are gone. Unfortunately, tourism and travel is still pretty hard to find a lender that will work in that space. But look, these are 3 really simple tips to help you work out where your client may be. So a gold client obviously is someone that's continued to trade really strongly during lockdown. You know, supermarkets, manufacturers, transport, they've maintained that steady cash flow. Silver are industries that have continued to trade but in a limited capacity, but they've got an expectation that they're going to return to you know, pre-COVID trading. So your cafes, your pubs, your hotels, you know, really they've been able to maintain 50% of their pre-COVID income. That's a silver client. And then we have our bronze clients. And unfortunately, they're the industries that have been fully impacted with lockdowns. No trade, but obviously expected to return now. So as the hairdressers, nail techs, beauty salons, etc. are opening, and they really fall into the nil income during lockdown or less than 50%. So really just sticking to those typical rules, steady, strong cash flow, you know, reasonable cash flow, and then super, super lumpy. So if you think of it that way, that's really going to give you an indication on, you know, the ability for your client to get financed. So moving into a current update from the Lend platform. So we're super excited that Get Capital, Prosper and Lumi are now all offering SME guarantee deals through the platform and obviously direct as well. So Get Capital certainly have led the way and been in the space for a while. Prosper have run their pilot program and now ready to open that up to the rest of the broker community. And then obviously last week, Lumi announced that they're offering their SME guarantee deals as well. So guys, there are plenty of other lenders on panel who have been approved, but are just yet to go to market with an offering at this stage. So take the guesswork out. Why the Lend platform? Why partner with us? What makes us different? So today, the Lend platform is the fastest and most sophisticated platform for Aussie business finance brokers. It automates the process of matching a lender to a SME, and it uses really sophisticated AI and analytics. And it does all this without blemishing the applicant's credit score and is intelligent enough to determine whether a customer can actually service the loan that they want. So why the Lend platform? It's all in one, guys. It's a single application facility. So one application form, including bank statement collection. It instantly analyses and assesses the probability of obtaining a loan, and it gives you the best lender match, and it presents those most suitable lenders to you. You can choose which lenders to send your application to, or you can let the system do the lifting. So you have a full spot and refer or a full end-to-end choice for each application. If a lender is unable to help, it simply can go to the next one without filling in another application form. Real-time status updates from all the lenders, so that obviously enables better communication. End-to-end deal flow, including notifications for complete control and transparency. So even when you do a spot and refer, you're kept up to date in real time about where your client's application is. Serviceability calculators, simple to use CRM tools, two-way SMS, calendars, and also notes. And the process doesn't impact the client's credit file. We pay you 100% of the commission the same day that your deal settles. And every question I get asked, which isn't in the presentation, is that Lend makes their money through volume. So we're all here to make money. As much as a lot of us do it for love, we need to make money as well. So we make our money on volume. And the platform is 100% free. So just quickly to talk to you about the magic of Lend Score, you get free access to this, and it's an automated tool that will give you a score on the likelihood of the customer's conversion of application. So the higher the Lend Score, the better the conversion. And we know this through 3 years of trials with our lenders. If you don't capture bank statements, then we have Lend Size. So it's an automatic statement analysis, and it does company profiling to give you the best match lender. So we look at things like amount they want to borrow against actual monthly revenue, industry, postcode of the business address, and length of trade. So we can match you to lenders without bank statements as well. And last but not least, I'll just give you a quick run through of the platform. So you can see here the dashboard view. This is where you can get up-to-date information on all your leads, key metrics, where you can add leads, view your notifications, etc. We also, this is your lead view. So when you're looking at settled leads, you can see all the leads in here and you can access your RCTI invoices. Lend size and lend match. So this is where you can actually pick your lender and choose to send it on, and then whether you want it to be automatic if the first lender can't help, or whether you actually want to do it manually and choose yourself. Just to give you a quick look at an individual lead view. So this gives you an overview of the lead details, the bank statement analysis that we spoke about, lend score, lender matching, and all the history. So, and on the far right hand side, you can see your CRM tools. So add notes, set tasks, SMS your client, etc. Lender profile. So when you jump in here, when you become a member of the platform, you can access all of the lender profiles, their commission amounts, their minimum and maximum loan terms and loan rates, along with their average loan term and loan rates, who the product's best suited to, and all of our lenders are in this lender profile section. Last but not least, thanks again so much for your time. We would love to show you the Lend platform and how it can really make a difference to your broking business. But again, thanks for being so supportive of our Australian SMEs out there. We appreciate that you guys are that too. So thanks very much for your time. And I will now head back to Joff.
Thanks, Danelle. I'm sure everybody will find that a very interesting platform to use as a tool to refer their commercial broking clients and set up their loans. So the next thing on the agenda is the AAMC and PEPA announcement, which is a message will let you know how to help. They will be helping you during this COVID season.
Conducted by our experienced industry trainers to make learning interactive and enjoyable. These classes are not webinars, so you have the opportunity to ask questions and discuss topics with our trainers and other students. Sessions are available for those seeking to complete their finance broking qualification. We are also running complimentary 3-hour recognition of prior learning classes to assist existing bankers and brokers to gain their qualification more seamlessly. Take the opportunity to upgrade to your diploma starting today. Register your interest via the virtual classroom banner found on our website.
Hi, Aaron Milburn from Pepper Money, here to say a huge thank you to FBAA members. Throughout these really trying times over the last couple of months, we've partnered together to make sure your customers are supported throughout. FBAA members have been critical to the success and growth of Pepper Money across Australia, and I want to say thank you for that and wish you all the very best in 2020 and into 2021 together.
Okay, so the next item on the agenda is the panel session, which will be hosted by Peter White. And for our panel, I'd like to welcome Erin from Prosper, Surinder from Trailbook Loans, Cameron from Strive Financial, Ebony from Bluestone. And I'd like to hand over to Peter now. Thank you, Peter. Are you with us, Peter?
Yeah, mate, sorry about that. I got booted out of the system. I think somebody's trying to tell me something, so I just had to very quickly log back on. I guess you're all wondering why the silence at this end. So thanks, Joff, appreciate the intro. And sorry, folks, I don't know what the hell happened there, but You completely shafted me. Anyhow, we're back in just in the nick of the time. Welcome everybody to our panelists. We have Aaron from Prosper. I don't know if the intros are happening, but I'll do it anyhow. Cameron from Strive, Surinder from Trailbook Loans, and Ed from Bluestone. Welcome everybody. Trust you're all well and not freezing like I am. And I'm sure all of our folks in South Australia are a bit chilly, yet our members there up in the territory are probably sitting there nice and warm, the place to be at the moment. Anyhow, let's get into this little this lender panel conversation for our brokers that are watching. And what I might do, I will run around my screen. So I'll introduce each of you as with the questions as I can see you placed on my screen. And can you just give me a quick 30-second pitch on who you are, what your company is, and what style of lending you're doing, and we'll come back around and drill that a little bit more very, very shortly. So, Ebony, I might pass to you for that quick little 30-second snapshot.
Yep. Hi everyone, thanks again for FBAA for having me today. I'm the Estate Manager for Bluestone Mortgages, so look after Vic, Tas and South Australia as Estate Manager. I've been with Bluestone for about sort of 6 years, and I guess our space is the alternative space. So I guess we've got a product suite that fits all customers. So we have some prime, near prime, specialist, specialist plus. So normally there's some type of product suite to be able to fit the customers these days.
Excellent, excellent. Thanks, Ebony. And Cameron, just a quick 30-second snapshot from yourself, young man. And don't you love the facial hair we're all getting? Look at your face. And there's Surinder down there. Ladies, what are you doing? You've got to get with the scene. No, it'd be a bad look. So.
I do, you just can't see it.
We've got so lazy, Whitey. So lazy. Champion, Strive Financial, small family-run company based up on the Gold Coast. With the FBAA now for 5 or 6 years. So thank you so much for having us again. I'm sure I've seen most of you in person over those 5 or 6 years. Short-term lending, anywhere from a week through to 3 years now. So with the birth of Strive Financial out of Crown and Gleeson and AMF, we now have 3 separate products. Our real short-term stuff for a week through to sort of 3 months, and then some stuff from 6 months to 12 months, and then a longer term product, a mortgage fund style product from 12 months through to 3 years. All secured, first, second mortgages. So yeah, that's what we do.
All right, we'll come back and drill that shortly. Surinder, the other bearded wonder. Talk to us, young man.
So firstly, Pete, did you check if Cam was in the water around Kingscliff yesterday or not?
There's probably a strong chance we get the reference.
Yeah, thanks, Pete. Surinder from Trailbook Loans. So we run a business that lends specifically to mortgage brokers, financial planners, and real estate agents. We don't need or wouldn't even know how to take a mortgage or property security. So we purely lend against the value of a mortgage broker's trail book, a financial planner's client register, or a real estate agent's rent roll.
Excellent. And Aaron from Prosper, I'll hand the mic to you to give us your quick 30-second snap.
Thanks, Peter, and thanks for having me this morning. So I am the State Manager here in South Australia and NT for Prosper. So for those who haven't heard of Prosper before, we're pretty much in business to change the way that small businesses experience finance and to keep them moving. So Donnell mentioned a few of them in her presentation before. Traditionally, when small businesses tried to access funds through your majors and your banks, they've quite often faced hurdles. So we're in business to pretty much remove those hurdles.
Excellent. All right. Well, Aaron, I might actually stay with you for the moment, and
Sure.
Tell us, through the COVID period, everything's gone left of centre on everyone, and it's been tough for lenders as well. Obviously, can you give us a little understanding of what happened earlier on in the COVID-19 period, where you are now, and what the future like? So obviously the dynamics of lending have changed through these positions. I'll ask you all the same, but so things change, and it's live, it's perfectly understandable. So I just want to get an understanding. I think it's helpful for everybody to understand what happened in the past when things got at their worst, where you are today, and where you see things in the not too distant future from your lending perspective within Prosper.
Okay, perfect. So I'll put it into 3 categories. Firstly, for the Prosper team, when everything sort of came to a head with COVID, everyone started working from home, which was pretty common around the country. So we transitioned. Yeah, well, we just recently have started a voluntary return to work. So we put it out there. So the Prosper leaders have always believed that they want our team to have a really good work-life balance. So we've always had the option at Prosper to have flexibility around working from home. So when we fully transitioned to working from home, we did it within about a 24-hour period and maintained all of our existing SLAs, which was really good because we've always been quite agile. So with our team, we're in a phase now where we're actually starting to return to work. The numbers are quite low. So as what we've noticed is that a lot of people really do enjoy working from home. So we've given that flexibility, but slowly we are seeing the numbers increase with the amount of people returning to work. In relation to our clients, back end, we didn't sort of put in a one-size-fits-all solution in terms of customers that were having challenges meeting their repayments. So what we did is we did a lot of individual work with clients depending on what they wanted. We tried to work with each individual business. Is what we've noticed now is the numbers coming through with clients wanting to put payments on hold or do a reduction in the payment. The numbers have decreased drastically, and they're getting pretty close back to our standard sort of inquiries that we're used to. So we spent a lot of time working with our individual clients. It was really important during COVID. Obviously, the lending space changed quite rapidly. But what we did is we continued to lend. So we didn't actually remove our products from market. So we continued to lend with our 2 core products. And then over probably the last 4 to 5 weeks, we've done a really soft launch with the government guarantee products. We've had a lot of success with those products. We're seeing, SLAs remain similar, 24 to 48 hours for an approval with our back to business products. And we're seeing a lot of settlements go through. So we're nearly ready to go to the wider market now, which is really exciting for a lot of brokers across Australia. And then with brokers is what we've tried to do on a local level is brokers we've spoken about for a really long time, trying to tap more into that SME market, and now is one of the best opportunities that we've ever seen for them to be able to do it. So in SA and NT, we're working really closely with brokers through watching Business SA webinars, Business Australia data, and just trying to provide as much data and information so that the brokers can go out there and be the expert in market. So that's something that we've really put a lot of focus on here locally.
Excellent. So it's an interesting piece around that working from home and then looking at returning back to work. I know that the amount of effort we've had to gone through with policies and procedures to return to work, it's actually all pain in the ass, to be honest with you. But what we found is the same thing too, is that SLAs are being met easily. We've got a lot of our staff now very keen to continue to work from home. So it's an interesting dynamic in a change, because personally, I hated and always have the idea of staff members working from home. So I'm sort of glad I got pushed into it because I love it, and a lot of our staff do. And I think it does create that greater harmonic of that work-life balance that we all look for. And it works well. So it's interesting stuff. I think the other piece, and before I move on to Surinder, is around the government stimulus packages that Prosper has done the soft launch on, and more to come very shortly. I think a lot of people don't realise that this all runs around the government basically backing 50% of the loan size, and you've still got to have the balance sheet capability to actually lend on this. And so it's where a lot of lenders sort of I won't say tripped up, but couldn't get going as quick as you like. You still got to have the strength of your balance sheet behind you. You've got a huge process to go through. Just once you sort of get the tick, it just doesn't mean and you're done. There's a whole process that's got to be gone through, the trialing that you guys have been doing, so on. All very, very important things that need to happen before you hit the market, because I think as we go into the third quarter of 2020, and I wish someone would hit the reset button. This has been a real shitty year. Anyhow, we need to hit that reset button. Or fast forward, that's the other option. Get past it. But the third quarter could be rather difficult in its own right for our economy. So I think having these things available, I think that the timing of what you're doing is actually going to be really good. And then we get all the brokers in the country to work out how to help people to manoeuvre past that once business starts to flow. Anyhow, thanks for that, Aaron. Surinder, what's your journey been like? And obviously you're in a very unique space and do a wonderful thing for the industry, because you're if not the only person that's actually lending against the broker's trail book to help them in their business. We're all generally helping clients, and here you are actually helping brokers in the marketplace to help them to expand their businesses. But again, too, same issues for you. The journey probably has its ups and downs through COVID-19. What's the past been like? Where are you at today, and how do you think the future's looking for what you're specifically doing in your market space?
Yeah, so Pete, thanks. The past was very much focused on the three products. We didn't distinguish between them. We looked at the risk across planners, brokers, and real estate agents being equal. Obviously, like most companies, we went into a shutdown period out of the office. Thankfully, I've got 122 square meters where I sent everyone home, so I managed to keep coming into work every day on my own, which probably saved my kids from wanting to kill me. So through the process over the last few weeks and months, we've probably been a little bit shy on real estate agents, just not knowing how the rental eviction moratorium and the arrears in the rental income will affect property managers moving forward post-September. We're starting to get some clarity around that with the current loans that we have on the book, and at the moment all except one are absolutely performing. So we're probably starting to get a little more comfortable with rent rolls again. Just like the Hayne Royal Commission, we haven't changed our lending policies. We're still lending at 1.5 times annual revenue for brokers and planners, and 1.8 times property management income for real estate agents. So we don't see a deterioration moving forward. If anything, we firmly believe that the COVID period has absolutely put the value of the broker proposition front and centre, and any politician or commissioner that wants to say differently just needs to look at the sheer amount of work that brokers did on behalf of their clients. And if anyone's got the nerve to say trails of money for nothing payment again, should have their head read. So we see it really
I unquestionably couldn't agree more on that comment. Bang on.
Yeah, and I won't rant about Hayne. I do it every time. I won't do it this time.
Fair enough. So going forward, how are you seeing things? Do you think your view on the real estate sector will change much, or you're still in a wait and see mode for a little while longer yet?
We'll probably wait and see for another month and also. In saying that, we're settling a rent roll deal today. So it's not no to rent rolls. We're just a little more cautious. Now we've got one thing that we're balancing as a business is, whilst I've got concerns over the rent roll space, our loan products are credit insured by Lloyd's of London, and Lloyd's have not pulled back on insuring rent rolls at all. So at some point I've got to make the decision and go, well, if the insurer is happy with it, move on, game on, keep going.
Yeah, it's a fair call. All right, well, interesting, and it's that space will be interesting. I know what we're seeing in various markets from property values sort of dropping maybe 1% or 0.1%, depending on where the markets are. But I don't know if we'll see the big drop in values at 10% or more that some were predicting, possibly in some areas. And hopefully, as small business re-kicks and economy gathers steam, then people who are in rental situations will be managing their weekly rental commitments satisfactory, which will then give confidence or greater confidence in the property management market space of those particular rent rolls that are held. Which, yeah, it's great to be insured, but you don't necessarily want to go diving on the insurer all the time. So,
no.
Mate, that's great. Yeah,
and one of the other things, I'm not sure what the other states have done because I've only read up on WA, but with the government stimulus on building, a first home owner in WA is entitled up to $64,000 in grants to build a new home. Like, if that's not going to stimulate the home market, I don't know what will.
Yeah, I don't know what all the estates are doing, but it's a very valid point. I think WA might be a little bit more progressive than most, and it'll be interesting to see what happens. But the more we can stimulate the marketplace, the better for everyone at the end of the day.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, buddy. Cam, over to you, buddy. You've got you two are a specialist marketplace, which when you're using your own money to lend out, and it is your family's money as such, you obviously got to be cautious what you're doing, and movements in markets can be a real pain. And so tell us a little bit about Strive's journey from a little bit in the past there when COVID hit to where you've landed today and what you think the near future is looking like, buddy.
Yeah, listen, Whitey, I guess like everyone, it was the anxiety of the unknown when it all first started, and that was just across the entire population. And that's what made it really, really difficult for any lender at the start, and any business owner and any person that didn't know if they were going to have their job next week or not. So listen, I'm not saying we were the poor ones being a lender using our own money, not knowing what was going to happen, because no one knew what was going to happen. So our inquiry fell by virtually 95% really, because nobody's borrowing money when nobody's confident in what's going to happen. When confidence is up, people are happy to borrow and happy to take those chances. And when confidence is down, obviously everyone sits pretty tight to try and ride it out and see what's going to happen. So we obviously went into a bit of a holding pattern where we tried to work with our current borrowers to make sure that they were all going to be okay and get through. We had very few really that needed some time. We probably had 15%, 20% of our loan book that asked to pay half payments, or they were all still happy to pay something. So we didn't have anybody ring up and say, I can't pay it all. So our clients were wonderful through that period of time. We haven't done a lot of new lending for probably 2 months now. But I don't know what happened last Wednesday, but almost a switch flicked last Wednesday, and the inquiry has been through the roof since virtually. So I don't know how the other guys here are, how their inquiry levels have been, but since last Wednesday, we've had more inquiries since last Wednesday than we've had in the 2 months previous. So I think that comes with, as I say, people starting to get a little bit more confident that we're coming out the other end of this. There's 30,000 people allowed to go to a protest, so you should be allowed back in the restaurants shortly, I would imagine.
And the pub.
Well, don't get me started on the pub, So I think there is some confidence starting to come back, and as you just said about the property prices, at the end of the day, we lend against property prices, which is why we don't need to look at financials or tax returns or BAS statements or your bank statements. We're sort of different to those lenders that they will look at that sort of stuff. We lend against a property price. So it was really difficult for a period, not knowing whether they were going to drop 5%, 10%, 20%. Who knew? But it looks like they're going to hold pretty good with this stimulus again that Surinder just spoke about, that the government's going to pump in. Hopefully that will keep builders building. I still think there's some I don't know that it's all smooth sailing from here on. I think we've got a problem with China, which I think is going to affect us drastically in our property prices. And the type of companies that have been hurt through this, as I say, most of our borrowers were okay through this. That doesn't mean that they're going to be okay come September, October, November, because if they've had cash flows through this, it's typically work that they had leading up to this. I can't imagine there's many businesses out there that have written much new work in the last 2 or 3 months. So if you're the builder or you're the tradie or what have you, they've got through this period because they've had the cash flow of the work that they've had on. Now, hopefully this stimulus is going to continually help through there. So the sort of companies that Donnie was talking about earlier in the different sort of situations, some companies just went to zero overnight because you couldn't have people in your restaurant. The companies that have got through, I'm not sure we're totally out the other side just yet. So there'll still be some caution around from lenders, I would imagine, in different types of industries. As I say, ours is virtually on property prices. They seem to be holding. Inquiry seems to be up. So hopefully, touch wood, we're on the way back anyway.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting comment. We held a seminar last week with Tom Panos, the mighty power real estate agent, motivator, and coach. It was a fantastic session. I think we had just 560 odd brokers involved in that seminar. But one of the guys who actually was a member of ours, because we open this up to everyone, you don't just have to be an FBAA member, we're here to look after the entire industry. But one of the guys who was a member of ours said that when COVID-19 hit, he started contacting all his clients on his database. And he said today, and so we're talking last Thursday, I think it was, he said, at that point, oh no, it would have been Wednesday. But anyhow, at that point in time, he has not been as busy as he is right now for the last 2 years. And it's not an uncommon theme I'm hearing from brokers right around the country, is they are really busy right now. And those that aren't, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful for those that aren't, but it generally seems to be you're not doing anything. You need to be doing so. If you do something, people are responding, and responding big time, because you're reaching out to help them. It doesn't have to be a flog to get a loan. It's all about looking after them personally, just checking in and saying, how are you going? Is everything all right through this period? And that conversation will lead to various things as they go forward. So it's interesting. So
Sorry, there's plenty of opportunity now. Crisis like this always bring opportunity for people, and even in the grants, I see they've extended the $150,000 instant write-off grant until the end of the calendar year. But literally, we're 3 weeks away from the end of the financial year, where you can instantly write off that $150,000. You don't have to wait until the end of next financial year if you do it after that. So there's always opportunities for people.
Yeah, most certainly correct. Hey, Ebony, how are things looking in the world of Bluestone? Again, getting tongue-tied. Must be the cold weather. It's freezing my tongue up. In Queensland, it's freezing cold at 24 degrees. You've got to understand that. Again, the same thing, looking at past, how things went in the past for Bluestone, where you guys are at the moment, and where do you see things in the near future for what you guys are doing?
Yeah, so we were one of the first lenders, I guess, to make some quick changes with lending policies, etc. We tried to be as transparent as what we can to our brokers, and we sent emails out of exactly all our policy changes. We did obviously increase our rates by 30 basis points. And so the broker knew exactly what our appetite was during those changes. Obviously, we had some restrictions to certain type of industries, but we wanted to be as transparent as what we can. We didn't want to waste anyone's time on getting deals in that didn't basically fit our criteria. We had a massive influx of hardship, so from going from 1 to 2 calls a day to sort of 400. So we had a lot of our staff getting diverted over to the hardship piece. There was a lot of noise, I guess, from customers just ringing up to find out what ifs as well, and they didn't really even sort of qualify, I guess, for the hardship piece. I think it was the government sort of went out there and said about, having 6 months payment pauses, and I think a lot of customers just wanted to take advantage of that and thought sometimes that it was just 6 months free for them, which wasn't obviously the case. They didn't realise that they still had, interest capitalised, etc. They just thought, you beauty, I'm going to have 6 months off on my mortgage repayments, and that's basically it. We didn't want to put like a blanket rule of having 6 months off. We wanted to actually touch base with our customers on a month-to-month basis. So we'd give them, a month off, and then we'd touch base with them. We didn't want to put them in a worse off situation if they didn't need it. So a lot of the customers we're finding they only needed potentially like 1 or 2 months, 3 months to sort of get back off their feet. We didn't want to have to sort of, capitalise 6 months worth of interest into their payments if they didn't have to, and put them in a worse off position. So we want to obviously keep in contact. So we've had about sort of, I guess, 20% of our book that's on that hardship piece, and that's obviously dropped off. It was just that inundated response time. We're still lending, we're still doing deals at the moment, and I don't want to, can't say too much information, but you'll see us back very soon in the next couple of weeks with some, hopefully some little restrictions, etc. lifted, and we'll be back again.
Excellent. We'll look forward to those announcements. Emily, we'll stay with you for a sec, and I'm getting close to my wind-up time here. We have our administration team in the background sending me messages going, Whitey, your time's getting close. What is currently Bluestone's sweet spot of stuff they want to look at?
So we're still looking at anything. The thing that I really want to sort of make sure of is we do specialise in self-employed. And it was, pre-COVID-19, we were happy to, look at BAS trading statements and accountants declarations. A lot of the time now I'm still getting questions based on just an accountant's deck only. So I just want to sort of educate the brokers to sort of say that sometimes that's not as easy as what it used to be pre-COVID-19, because of the fact that we really need to get a sense now of how, especially if it's in self-employed, we need to get a sense of how they're actually been trading. It's not just as simple as getting an accountant's deck, because that could have been off last year's figures. We need to kind of get something to back up that accountant's deck from a trading statement or BAS, just to get a sense of, how that company is actually performing during COVID-19, and are they actually getting any income to be able to support the loan.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a very fair call, because no lender lends money not to know that somehow, regardless of how that is, but at some stage it's going to be repaid. And you also have an obligation, a responsibility as a lender, not to put people into debt that they just physically can't afford, whilst trying to balance all that with the position of we're here to help. So it's not an easy gig at time, but we get it, and that's great. Now, thanks for that. Cam, what about you? Yeah, sorry.
Oh, so like when you're talking about our product suites, we can do prime loans, whether it's PAYG or alt doc, and then we can do the ones that are potentially, got a little bit of credit impaired or don't fit the box. So we do have our product suite from prime, near prime, specialist, specialist plus.
Cool, excellent. So Cam, I'm just jumping, thanks, Stephanie. Just jump to you, mate. Have you got a sweet spot of stuff that you're keen to look at the moment? Is it capital city based? Is it almost anything anywhere? Is it any sort of real estate, or some things you just don't want to look at the moment because of? Is there anything like that?
Yeah, our stuff is always pretty similar, Whitey. It's got to make sense. And I know that seems really, really simple, but the deal has to make sense. What the client wants to do with the money, the security that they're looking at using. Are we going to write second mortgages behind ginormous first mortgages in the current market? No. If they owe 2.4 million and their house is worth 3 million and they want 100 grand, are we going to do it? No. So we're happy to still be doing seconds, but behind sort of smaller first mortgages. And at the end of the day, although we lend against the asset, we very rarely ever have to take that asset to realise our debt. So we want to know how they're going to pay the money back, that the loan's going to make sense, that they need $50,000 and they're going to pay out via a refinance that's already underway, or they've got outstanding invoices they're going to be paid at the end of months, or what have you. It's even more important right now that it really makes sense what they're doing with the money and how they're going to pay the loan back.
Yeah, and you know what? I mean, I think sometimes we overcomplicate life. What you basically said at the beginning there, it's got to make sense. And even though that's a simple theory, it's probably one of the most critical theories when you look at a loan from a lender perspective. If the thing doesn't make sense, well, then it's just not going to work for anyone. If it simply makes sense, you've at least gotten off first base and say, okay, makes sense. I got somewhere to go with this, and then complete your due diligence.
It's only a horrible experience for everyone. If it doesn't make sense and it doesn't go well, it's a horrible experience for the broker, it's a horrible experience for the borrower, and it's a horrible experience for us, the lender. You know what I mean? And that's just, it's not sort of the part of the space that we want to play.
Yeah, that's why we love Strive Financial. Thanks, buddy. Surinder, knowing again you're a very niche market there, and you mentioned before that rent rolls are a little bit not off the horizon, but look at with a stronger due diligence process. But are you still happy to lend to mortgage brokers' trail books? I know that's your core business, but yeah, things move around. Is that still the go?
Yeah, absolutely, Pete. Supporting mortgage brokers is the reason I started this business, and through a Royal Commission and COVID-19, my want to lend to mortgage brokers is more than ever. So that sort of speaks testament to the way that we view mortgage brokers. And probably the best way to describe the way we're assessing at the moment is mortgage brokers and financial planners consider that to be more of an 80% LVR. It's very much a sort of stick and a flick if it fits. And a rent roll is effectively, think of it as being mortgage insured. We're just going to dig a little bit deeper and ask a few more questions. So, it's absolutely here to support brokers. We haven't changed the terms, we haven't changed the rates, we haven't changed the maximum lens. So still doing the same as we did.
You're a great man, and due diligence is so important in any form of lending. And obviously, again, when you're doing the sort of things like you and Cam are doing that are different to mainstream, the due diligence process is critical. But I just can't thank you and your business enough for supporting the mortgage broker industry in the manner which you do, in helping them in their businesses. All our other lenders are helping them too, but they're helping their clients versus you guys directly the lenders. So it's a great thing, so well done. Erin, so what's the sweet spot for Prosper at the moment?
So for us, we're pretty much working with all the industries that we have pre-COVID. So we're doing a lot in manufacturing, hospitality, professional services, transportation and retail. I sort of divided up into two categories. So you've got certain businesses out there that have really maximised their opportunities during this period. So whether it be the gym manufacturer that produced all different equipment that used to sell into gyms, and now they transitioned into online retail sales, and therefore they needed money for expansion into that. Or we recently had a settlement for a Vietnamese restaurant that was trading for the last 5-6 years, doing really well, shut down and stopped trading altogether during COVID, and then just started up again, and they were looking for the back to business product. So we're really catering for both the expansion opportunities at the moment or the short-term hurdles due to COVID.
Oh, that's excellent. Well summarised. Excellent stuff. Look, I think there's so much valuable content there for everybody who's watching today, and unfortunately my time's out. So Erin from Prosper, thanks so much. Surinder, thank you from Trailbook Loans. Cameron from Strive Financial, and Ebony from Bluestone. Thanks everybody so much for your conversations this morning. It's been great. Stay well. We'll see you soon, and I'm going to hand back to Joff. See you later.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Thanks, Peter, and thanks to everybody on the panel. That was a great session and gave us a real insight into the things that you're doing to help out. So time to move on, and we've now got a message from Insurance Advisor Net Australia talking about their initiative for the COVID period.
Hello everyone, this is Darren Lodes from Insurance Advisor Net. Just touching base with you all. I hope you're all keeping well through these crazy times that we're all going through. Just a quick grab, the one bit of advice I'd give you in the time that I've got is for those that have got their policies due this month, and I know there's quite a lot of you, maybe this year's the year to take advantage of our premium funding option where you can space the payments out over 10 months rather than an upfront payment, just to help you cash flow through these times. Any other problems at all, you guys know where to get us, and we're here to help you where we can. Stay well, and we'll get through this together. Cheers.
Okay, the next and final session in this webinar is Renee Blethen from Suncorp. Suncorp is our national wellness sponsor, and Renee is here to talk to us about 5 ways to build resilience in times of change, which is a very on-topic or on-point topic. So welcome, Renee.
Good morning. Thanks so much for having me, Joff. And Suncorp, we're really proud to be partners of the wellness program with the FBAA. So I want to say thank you very much to the brokers who've decided to take some time out and join us this morning. What we'd like to take you through is a quick presentation just to give you some tips, hopefully, that you can walk away with today to just help manage everything that either you're experiencing yourself, your family members, or the customers who are contacting you and looking for some help and support, guidance when it comes to financial services. But as what we've all experienced, but also what we've heard about in the panel session today, people are needing more support than ever. So hopefully we're going to give you some tips that might just make that support that you're providing to those that you love in your family and the customers who mean so much to you just that little bit easier. So the first thing we wanted to just, and look, with all of the media and everything that we're all experiencing together in this industry, the financial vulnerability piece is something that I know you're all quite well versed in. The reason that we think this resiliency message is so important to share with you today is that pre-COVID, we shared this information with the FBAA network via the Are You OK events, and there's a couple of stats that I just want to call out around what the state of Australia was before we went into COVID, and 44% of Australians are functionally illiterate, 55% of Australians are functionally innumerate, and those two statistics relate to being able to follow and read instructions on a medicine bottle, for example, or being able to easily understand a product statement. 30% of Australians don't have savings, and 25% of people can't or sometimes don't pay their bills. So if that was the state before we went into COVID, you can imagine that the community around you is needing more support than ever. So the reason that we're talking to you about resiliency is because we know as people working in financial services, often you're the one that is guiding a family through a really difficult time. So moving into resiliency and what it actually is. Resilience is the ability to positively respond to adversity. It's the process of adapting well in the face of adversity, trauma, tragedy, threats, or even significant sources of stress. It helps us bounce back from setbacks, and it involves learned behaviours, thoughts, and actions that can be developed in anyone. So why are we talking about this to you? Investing in understanding resiliency and building your resiliency can increase your overall well-being and psychological health. It reduces the impact of stress, and it can improve the performance in your role and your business and increase your job satisfaction. What we're sharing with you today is a research that was completed by a company called Assure, and Assure are the provider of our employee assistance program. So research shows that they've completed that people who are resilient demonstrate a set of skills across 6 domains. And those domains are vision, composure, reason, health, tenacity, and collaboration. So we're just going to spend a short period of time just unpacking each of those. So what does vision mean? Vision means having a sense of purpose and the ability to set goals and prioritise the right actions in the face of adversity. So being clear, understanding what your personal values are, and setting goals and actions on a daily basis that are aligned to these values is a great way to develop this area. Composure, that's the ability to regulate our emotions and stay calm and in control during difficult or stressful situations. One of the ways that you can build skills to better regulate your emotions and build awareness of automatic thoughts is by something that you might have heard of called everyday mindful activities. And we've got a couple of things that we're going to share with you in this session, just to give you some tips around that. Reasoning. Reasoning is the ability to being able to solve problems, think critically, identify opportunities, and instigate change. So part of being able to change any sort of level of skill that you have and increase your learning is to firstly become aware of it. So what are we talking about with reasoning? Reasoning is becoming aware of those unhelpful thinking traps. So things like catastrophic thinking, thinking in terms of black and white, it's either one way or the other, using blaming language. So what is encouraged here is to practice challenging your thoughts. So asking yourself, is there another way to think about a situation? The thing to remember here is that your brain can only answer one question at a time, and it will focus on the question that you give it. So just even that thought process may be able to help you in just when you become a bit overwhelmed with a situation, try and think about it from a different perspective. Health. Health, I know everybody talks about health, and that's part of the reason that we've partnered with the FBAA with the wellness program. Health is so important to be able to give you such a strong base to be able to tackle anything that comes your way. And the obvious components to having a really good base of health is to exercise frequently, good sleep and healthy nutrition, and a guide to just becoming more aware of this is to keep an activity, sleep or food diary for a week to better understand the things that you're doing that might not be helping you. I know that the panel was talking about the industries that are thriving at the moment, and the alcohol industry certainly saw a great influx in the very early stages of COVID, but it's not actually great for your health if that's the way that you wind down and relax. So keeping track of the daily habits that you get into and those around you is a great way of just getting that health check in balance. And the last two, tenacity. So tenacity is the ability to persevere through challenge and quickly get back on track. A great way to understand and build tenacity is to revisit your values and goals and schedule some time to regularly identify and celebrate progress, no matter how small, against your goals, because celebrating the small wins builds great confidence and gives you that spur to go ahead. The best thing to do, especially in such times of uncertainty, is perhaps limit the time frame of something that you're focusing on if the prospect of tackling it just seems too hard. So shorten the time frame to 30 days. What do we know that we can absolutely lock into for the next 30 days with so much uncertainty and transitioning back to normal life? Shortening the time frame can really help with managing what's ahead of you. And collaboration, so fostering connections with others and creating a collaborative environment. Today is a great example of stepping into that space and connecting with others and what that does to actually build positive energy and a positive vibration. Our nature is to connect with each other, especially if you don't feel like it. So I want to say congratulations on making the time to tune into today's session. It's a really positive investment in you, your business, and your family. So 5 ways to build resiliency during times of change. And we wanted to give you a quick 5 that you could just take away with today based on those 6 domains. So knowing what is in your control and what's not, adopting a growth mindset, find work that focuses on your strengths. Now you're all in the finance industry and you've obviously chosen that because you wanted to do it for some reason. So often we can get caught up in the tasks that we don't actually enjoy as much. So take this as an opportunity to perhaps revisit where you're spending the majority of your time, and is there a way that you can balance out those tasks that you don't like as much and aren't in your strengths, so that you can start to build some resiliency there. Practice mindfulness. We've got a technique for you, but the type of things that we're talking about there is deep breathing, meditation, and becoming connected to the moment. And the 5th tip is to take time out to reflect, even if it's 1 to 3 minutes. Take some time just to stop and have a look at what's right in your present moment, what you've achieved for the day and what's ahead. And often just doing that can actually help you make a better decision for the next challenge that you're tackling. So this was the technique that we wanted to share with you. It's a mindfulness technique. It's called STOP. And the abbreviation for STOP stands for S, stop, T, take a breath, O, observe, and P, proceed. So you can do this at any time, and it's all about reconnecting to what's going on right now. And what that does is it helps with the negative thoughts and sometimes destructive thought patterns by getting you back into the space of now. So the first piece is stop. Whatever you're doing, just pause, reconnect with your breath, And your breath is an anchor to the present moment. And that can be as simple as just taking 5 deep breaths. A way to tap into your parasympathetic nervous system is to have your out breath be 2 counts longer than your in breath. And just doing that 5 times will calm your nervous system down. And that does an incredible thing for your body and your brain in terms of being able to rationalize and rethink a situation. O, observe, notice what is happening, what's happening inside and outside of you. Where's your mind gone? What do you feel? What are you doing? Even just asking those questions can often be enough to just bring you into the moment. And then the last bit is proceed. Continue doing what you're doing or don't. Use the information you've gathered during this quick check-in to change course or reconfirm that the way you're proceeding is the right way and the best way for you. This technique is about whatever it is that you do, doing it mindfully, and that's about connecting to the present moment. We've got some other tips, and we are not the resiliency expert. We are passionate about it as an organisation because we know how important it is based on the statistics we showed you earlier around the Australian community, and we know the role that you play in supporting our customers that we share in being able to tackle what is difficult in their lives. So these are just some tips that we've researched that we find are useful and freely available. So there's 3 different options here: listening to a podcast, trying a new wellbeing app, or checking out some TED Talks. And we'll share this in a pack following today's session. And we're by no means recommending that any of these are better than any other. And these are not Suncorp branded. These are just tools that are available within society that can really help just build some awareness, understanding, and you just might find someone that speaks to you in a different way. And I just wanted to touch on the last thing, which is a summary of our relief packages across both our small business and residential personal customers. So as you heard from the panel session, all lenders are working really hard to support customers with what they need, and all of our packages are available for you to talk to or find out about or support your customers with via the Suncorp website or our business partners portal. And we're progressing through the 3-month check-in with our customers, and we've got some new information that we'll be sharing next week when we issue our broker newsletter on how we'll actually be proactive about that to save people being on hold and the time that was invested up front in the customer assistance inquiries. So we wanted to say thank you very much for the support that you are providing to Suncorp customers, but all Australians. We're very passionate about the finance industry, and the broker channel is extremely important to Suncorp. And I would also like to say thank you to the FBAA for having us as a wellness partner. This is a really important message for us, and I hope that there was something that you took out of our presentation that helps you, your family, or your customers. Thank you.
Thanks, Renee. That was a great session. There's so much in that, and I really appreciate the effort that Suncorp's gone to provide this for us. So thanks again.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay. Another of our sponsors is Credit Fix Solutions and ALI Group, and we've got some messages from them now.
Hi, and lovely to be here to introduce Credit Fix Solutions and Credit Fix Lawyers. If you have clients who are currently suffering from financial hardship or maybe need to apply for deferral of loans, please feel free to contact our team, and our BDMs will be there to present to you today. Our email address is info@creditfixsolutions.com.au, and our national scenarios helpline is 1300 436569. Take care and stay safe.
a broker, it's fantastic to partner with ALI. The product offering is incredibly simple. We can set up the policy online in a matter of minutes. Having a mortgage protection insurance policy is one of the most important things that someone can do.
We want to cover as many people as possible. We want to help them with their claims when they come up.
It's really nice to be able to combine making a difference and going to work.
Overall, I'd like to think that we do bring that additional dimension of care to the industry.
Just to thank ALI from the bottom of our hearts for just making it so much easier to just relax and get on with the process of recovery.
So thanks to those sponsors. That almost brings to an end our first eSummit for the year. There'll be another one tomorrow at 1:30 p.m. So I'm hoping you'll all log into that. But before we go, I'd like to remind you that there'll be an email coming to you with a code for your CPD hour, and there'll be a short survey there as well. So please fill that in. We'd really like to know how you're enjoying these sessions and any other feedback you've got. Just a note that there are the past webinar recordings that we've done, that FBAA has done on the YouTube channel, and you can watch that to boost your CPD hours. And also a reminder to respond to all of the invitations to register for the upcoming sessions that the FBAA will be running over the next few months. So anyway, hopefully we'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day, everybody.